I never imagined a birthday celebration would end with my daughter in police custody, but there I am staring at the caller ID of an unknown number lighting up my phone. Ben and I are sharing a quiet dinner at Rickerson's, Flagstaff's oldest family restaurant, a rare night out while Lainey hosts her birthday gathering at home. The warm glow of candlelight softens the lines on Ben's face as he talks about weekend plans for hiking the Northern Trail. "Maybe we could pack a lunch and make a day of it," he says, cutting into his steak. Weather report shows clear skies through Sunday. The phone vibrates against the wooden table. Unknown number. My stomach tightens as I hesitate, then answer. "Mom?" Lainey's voice trembles on the other end. "I'm at the police station. Aunt Julie broke my phone and told them I pushed her." Ben's face drains of color as he watches mine. I grip the edge of the table so hard my knuckles turn white. "We're coming right now," I manage, already signaling for the check. Ben runs a yellow light on Route 66, his hands white-knuckled on the steering wheel. Neither of us speaks. The words tumble in my head like clothes in a dryer. Police station, Lainey, Julie. My half-sister, 19 years old and already a master at destruction. "She wasn't invited," I whisper, more to myself than to Ben. "I promised Lainey she wouldn't have to deal with Julie today." 20 minutes later, the harsh fluorescent lighting of the police station assaults my eyes as we push through the glass doors. A young officer with a crew cut and a name tag reading Palmer stands behind the front desk, expression neutral as we approach. "Our daughter was brought in," Ben says, voice steady despite the panic I feel radiating from him. "Lainey Maddox." Officer Palmer nods. "The 17-year-old. She's under investigation for assault." "That's absurd," I snap, maternal instinct flaring. "Where is she?" He points toward a row of metal benches along the wall. Lainey sits alone, shoulders hunched, holding a plastic evidence bag containing the shattered remains of her iPhone. Her mascara has left dark tracks down her cheeks. When she sees us, her face crumples. "She wasn't even invited, Mom," she says as I sit beside her, wrapping my arm around her shoulders. "I specifically asked you not to invite her." I close my eyes, remembering this morning. Lainey and I hung string lights across the backyard. Her playlist of carefully selected music drifted through the outdoor speakers. The way she tested each light strand before we hung them. "Please don't invite Julie," she'd said, balancing on the stepladder. "She always ruins everything." I'd looked up at her, this almost woman who still had traces of the little girl who once climbed trees in our backyard. "It's your day, sweetheart. No Julie." We'd spent hours preparing. Allergen-safe snacks for her friend Mia with the peanut allergy. The homemade punch that took 3 attempts to get right. Lainey's genuine excitement about hosting friends again after COVID had kept them apart for so long. "What happened?" Ben asks, his attorney voice taking over. Calm, factual. Lainey wipes her eyes. "Julie showed up with Mackenzie and Talia. They had spiked seltzers and some portable speakers blasting music over mine. I asked them to leave." Her voice catches. "I was polite, Dad, I swear." I squeeze her shoulder. "I believe you." Julie just snapped. She grabbed my phone and smashed it on the brick patio. Lainey points to the evidence bag. Then she slipped on some dry leaves and started screaming that I pushed her. Someone called 911. I didn't even touch her, Mom. The familiar weight of family history settles over me. I'm suddenly 7 years old again, standing alone at my father's second wedding. Dean's dismissive introduction echoing in my ears. That's Corinne, from my first marriage. Julie came a year later, the miracle baby, after fertility treatments. The golden child who could do no wrong. Years of being the afterthought while Julie was celebrated. Birthday parties forgotten. School events attended only when convenient. My silent vow at my own wedding to Ben flashes through my mind. My children will never feel second best. I straighten my spine, years of nursing discipline taking over. "Ben," I say quietly, "the Eufy camera." His eyes widened in recognition. "The outdoor security camera we installed after the package theft." "Get the footage, now." Officer Palmer's skepticism fades to interest as Ben mentions the camera. "Security footage?" he asks, leaning forward slightly. "Yes," I say firmly. "Our backyard security camera will show exactly what happened." For the first time since we arrived, Lainey's eyes lit with hope. A certainty rises in me, solid as bedrock beneath my feet. This time, the truth will matter. This time, I won't let my daughter become the scapegoat in a family built on lies. The difference is evidence, and for once, we have it. I'm sending Mark the security footage now, Ben says, his voice steady as his fingers fly across the laptop keyboard. We're huddled in a small conference room at the police station, the fluorescent lights casting harsh shadows across his face. Officer Palmer leans forward, arms crossed over his chest. His skepticism has softened to curiosity as Ben pulls up the Eufy app on his laptop. The loading circle spins, each rotation tightening the knot in my stomach. There, Ben says, turning the screen. The footage shows our backyard in crisp detail. String lights twinkle over teenagers dancing to music I can't hear. Then Julie appears at the edge of the frame with two girls trailing behind her. Even without sound, her aggressive body language speaks volumes. The timestamp reads 8:17 p.m. Lainey approaches Julie, hands gesturing calmly. Julie's face contorts. She lunges forward, grabs Lainey's phone from her hand and smashes it against the brick patio. Officer Palmer's eyebrows shoot up. The next sequence plays out in terrible clarity. Julie turning, taking a step, her foot sliding on a patch of dry oak leaves. She tumbles backward, landing hard on her hip. Lainey stands 2 full feet away, hands raised in shock, never moving toward her sister. This changes things, Palmer says quietly, rewinding to watch the moment again. Ben meets my eyes across the table. A silent victory passes between us. My phone buzzes. A Facebook notification. I open it without thinking and feel the blood drain from my face. Marge's profile picture appears above a post already gathering dozens of comments. Julie was assaulted tonight by someone we trusted. Please pray for her recovery. Heading to the police station now. Ben, I whisper, turning my phone toward him. His jaw tightens as he reads the comments flooding in. Praying for sweet Julie. This is outrageous. Who would hurt her? Call us if you need anything at all. Mr. and Mrs. Maddox? Officer Palmer says, clearing his throat. There's something else you should know. Julie's parents have already submitted signed statements saying they witnessed the assault. That's impossible, I say, the words sharp in my throat. They weren't even there. As if summoned by my disbelief, my phone rings. Thomas Whitaker, our neighbor across the street. Corinne, he says when I answer, his voice rushing. I just saw what Marge posted. That can't be right. Dean and Marge were talking to Carol and me on the sidewalk at 7 p.m. We chatted for almost an hour about the new zoning proposal and they left, so they did not see the incident. Hope flares in my chest. Thomas, would you be willing to tell the police that? Already typing up a statement, he says. And I've got time-stamped photos from when Dean showed us pictures of their new patio furniture. While I'm on the phone, Ben's screen lights up with text messages from 3 of Lainey's friends, each sending video clips from earlier in the party. The conference room door swings open 20 minutes later. Mark, Ben's brother, walks in, still in his security guard uniform from the hospital. His 20 years as a police officer before changing careers is written in his confident stance. I came as soon as Ben called, he says, nodding to Officer Palmer. Todd, good to see you. Palmer straightens slightly. Detective Harrington, didn't expect to see you here. Mark's eyes flick to the laptop screen, then to Lainey. Family matters. What are we looking at? As Palmer brings Mark up to speed, I find myself transported back to another room, another betrayal. I'm 20, standing in the back of a small chapel, watching my father marry Marge. My grandparents had passed away within months of each other that year, the twin pillars of my life gone. You need to move on. Dad had said when I called him crying after Grandma's funeral. We have Julie to think about now. Julie, still forming in Marge's womb, already more important than my grief. The pattern stretches across years like shadow fingers. Julie's tantrums blamed on my negative influence. Her accusations were always believed without question. My explanations were dismissed as jealousy. Officer Palmer's voice pulls me back. These false accusations could affect your daughter's college applications. There could be legal consequences if the charges aren't dropped. Ben's colleague from the law firm has texted him. Social media posts are becoming problematic. Potential defamation case building. Call me. My nursing license, I whisper, the realization hitting me. If this escalates, there could be an ethics investigation at the hospital. Mark leans against the wall, arms crossed. Document everything, he says quietly. Every post, every statement, every lie. Build your case like you're preparing for war. The door opens again. A different officer pokes his head in. The footage has been reviewed. We're releasing Laney. No charges filed at this time, but the investigation remains open. Laney's shoulders sag with relief. Ben pulls her into a tight hug. As we gather our things, voices echo from the lobby. My skin prickles with recognition. Dean and Marge have arrived. We step into the hallway just as Julie appears around the corner. She's limping dramatically, a pharmacy neck brace secured around her throat, tears streaking her mascara. Her performance would be almost comical if it weren't so dangerous. Dean spots us first, his face flushing. Marge rushes to Julie's side, an arm around her shoulders for support. As we pass them in the narrow hallway, Marge leans close, her breath hot against my ear. You always were jealous of our family. The words land like a slap, but for once I don't flinch. I have evidence now, and that changes everything. I just look at her, fist clenched, and walk to the car. That night I couldn't sleep properly. I wake before the sun. Sleep fled hours ago, driven away by the images replaying in my mind. Laney's tear-stained face at the police station. Julie's smirk as she limped past us with her theatrical neck brace. Marge's venomous whisper. The digital clock reads 4:17 a.m. The house sleeps around me as I pad downstairs in worn slippers. The kitchen light casts a small circle of yellow across the table where I spread out my laptop, notebook, and a stack of photo albums dating back 15 years. A nurse learns to document it becomes instinct, like checking a pulse or listening to lungs. For 2 decades, I've recorded patients' vital signs, medication responses, and symptom progressions. Now I turn that same clinical precision toward my own family. The coffee maker gurgles in the background as I create a timeline. Julie smashing Laney's phone, 8:17 p.m. according to the security footage timestamp. The first Facebook post from Marge appeared at 8 p.m., claiming to have witnessed the assault. The order is non-linear, and there is not enough time for Julie to have called her parents, for them to have driven across town, and then for Marge to have composed her tearful social media plea for prayers. I open my laptop and navigate to Google Reviews. There it is, Dean's 1-star review of Peterson's hardware. Terrible customer service, waited 20 minutes for help. Posted at 8:15 p.m. yesterday. 2 minutes before Julie smashed the phone when he claimed to be witnessing the assault. Ben's footsteps sound on the stairs. He appears in the doorway, hair rumpled from sleep, eyes narrowed against the light. You've been up all night, haven't you? I shake my head. Just since 4. I pushed a photo toward him, Marge tagged in a boutique's Instagram post holding candle samples. Timestamp, 8:20 p.m. They weren't there, Ben. They lied to the police. He sets a fresh cup of coffee beside my elbow and lowers himself into the chair across from me. False police report. That's not just family drama anymore. It never was. My voice comes out flat. 20 years of swallowing hurt has crystallized into something hard and unyielding inside me. Ben scans the meticulously organized evidence. Marge called your supervisor yesterday. My head snaps up. What? Dr. Whitmore texted me. Marge suggested your family issues might be affecting patient care. His jaw tightens. She implied you might be medicating improperly due to stress. The coffee turns bitter in my mouth. An accusation like that could trigger a review, endanger my license, and destroy my career. The career that paid for my half-sister's birthday presents, the ones she never thanked me for. They're not stopping, I say quietly. This isn't just about Laney anymore. Ben nods, pulling out his phone. I'm calling Patricia Wells. We need legal representation, not just advice. Patricia runs the Prescott Law Group, specializing in defamation cases. We met at a hospital fundraiser last year. While Ben speaks with Patricia's assistant, I check Marge's Facebook page. The Justice for Julie hashtag has gained traction overnight, with sympathetic comments flooding in from church friends and distant relatives. Julie's tearful interview with the Flagstaff Courier appears in my newsfeed, her neck brace prominently displayed as she describes her trauma and ongoing pain. By 9 o'clock, Ben and I sit across from Patricia Wells in her downtown office. Her silver-streaked hair is pulled into a neat chignon, her eyes sharp behind frameless glasses. "This isn't just teenage drama," Patricia says after reviewing our evidence. "It's defamation and false reporting. These are serious offenses with legal consequences." Lainey sits beside me, her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, eyes red-rimmed but clear. "She's missed 2 days of school already. I don't want to hide from this," she says, her voice stronger than I expected. "I didn't do anything wrong." Patricia nods approvingly. "Good, because they're counting on you being too ashamed to fight back." She turns to Ben. "Can your tech friend extract the metadata from that security footage? We need to verify the timestamp hasn't been altered." "Already in progress," Ben says. Mark's also making calls to his contacts at the department, making sure they're aware of the false statements. "We need to move quickly." Patricia types notes into her tablet. "They've created a narrative. We need to counter facts." My phone buzzes with texts from 3 hospital colleagues, offering to cover my shifts if needed. Thomas from next door sends photos proving he spoke with Dean and Marge on the street around the time they claimed to be witnessing the assault. A plan forms, not just for defense but accountability. The paperwork spread across Patricia's desk represents more than legal strategy. It's a declaration of boundaries 19 years overdue. That afternoon, Patricia submits a comprehensive evidence package to the police. We file a formal civil suit for destruction of property and defamation. The criminal complaint for filing false police reports follows. By evening, the security footage had been submitted to the prosecutor's office. I stand in the kitchen that night, phone in hand, and dial a number I rarely call voluntarily. "Corinne?" Dean's voice holds cautious surprise. "Listen, about what happened." "The truth doesn't need witnesses," I say, cutting him off. "But lies do, and you and Marge lied to the police." "Now wait just a minute." "The security footage has been submitted to the prosecutor's office." I continue, my voice steady. "Along with your Google review and Marge's boutique photos. Time-stamped proof you weren't at Lainey's party when Julie broke her phone. You weren't there, Dad." Silence stretches between us. I imagine him standing in the kitchen I visited only on obligatory holidays, his face reddening as it always did before he dismissed my concerns. "You've never believed me," I say into the silence. "Not once in 39 years. But this time, belief isn't required. The evidence speaks for itself." I end the call before he can respond. Something inside me shifts, like tectonic plates finding a new alignment. Later, I find Lainey sitting on her bed, staring at the wall where photos of her friends hang in a careful collage. Her shoulders shake with silent sobs. "Why does she hate me so much?" she asks as I sit beside her. "I never did anything to Julie." The question pierces me. I've protected Lainey from my childhood stories, thinking they would only burden her. Now I realize my silence has left her with questions I could have answered. "It's not about you," I say, taking her hand. "It never was." I tell her about standing alone at my father's wedding, about birthdays forgotten while Julie's were celebrated with elaborate parties, about achievements dismissed while Julie's mediocre efforts were praised as exceptional. "You were the replacement," Lainey says, understanding dawning in her eyes. "And you're the reminder that I chose a different path." I squeeze her hand. "One where truth matters." Ben appears in the doorway, leaning against the frame. His eyes meet mine over Lainey's head. "We're rewriting this family story," he says quietly. "All 3 of us." Lainey wipes her eyes, her chin lifting in a gesture so like my own that it startles me. "I'm not going to be anyone's victim," she says. The resolution in her voice echoes something awakening in me, something that has slept too long. 2 days later, Patricia's cease and desist letter lands with the weight of a gavel. I watch Ben slide it into the mailbox outside Dean and Marge's mock Tudor house, his jaw set in determination. "Certified mail," he says, checking his watch. "They'll have it by noon." We drive away in silence, the morning sun glinting off the San Francisco peaks. 3 identical letters, one for Dean, one for Marge, one for Julie. Each outlining the consequences of false accusations, defamation, and destruction of property, each demanding immediate retraction. The police called by mid-afternoon. Sergeant Morales, the investigation lead, wants Dean and Marge to come in for clarification of their initial statements. His voice on the speakerphone carries an edge that wasn't there before. "We've reviewed the security footage multiple times," he tells us. The timeline doesn't match their witness statements. Ben catches my eye across the kitchen counter. Have Julie's friends been contacted? Mackenzie Allen and Talia Weber recanted this morning, Morales says. Both admit they were drinking and didn't actually see what happened between Julie and your daughter. A knot loosens in my chest, the first thread of the fabrication unraveling. That night, Lainey showed me her phone notifications. The Justice for Julie hashtag has vanished from local social feeds. In its place, Justice for Lainey. Her classmates sharing the truth, parents messaging support. Talia messaged me. Lainey says, her voice small but steady. She said Julie planned the whole thing. I sit beside her on the bed, our shoulders touching. Planned? To crash the party, make a scene. She told them I was. Lainey swallows hard. Stuck up. I needed to be taught a lesson. The anger flares hot and bright behind my sternum. Not the flashfire rage that consumes oxygen, but the steady burn of anthracite, intense, focused heat. 3 days later, the police officially dropped all charges. The department issues a statement about premature conclusions based on incomplete witness testimony. The local paper runs a correction about Julie's tearful interview, noting the security footage contradicts her claims. Hospital administration calls me into a meeting. I walk in with a resignation letter folded in my pocket, prepared for the worst after Marge's whisper campaign. We want you to know you have our full support, Doctor. Atherton says, sliding a formal statement across her desk. This has been a difficult situation for your family, and we stand behind you professionally and personally. The paper blurs before my eyes. 20 years of spotless service suddenly matters more than Marge's boutique friends and their gossip. Ben's law firm partners offer pro bono assistance for the defamation case. Patricia files for an emergency hearing about the false police reports. The forensic analysis confirms our security footage authenticity, countering Marge's desperate Facebook claims about manipulation. Then the facade begins to crack. Dean calls Ben at 11:36 p.m. on a Tuesday. I listen to Ben's clipped responses from our bedroom. No, we're not dropping anything. The evidence speaks for itself. That's a question you should have asked before filing false statements. When he hangs up, his expression is grim. They want to work something out. Dean sounded scared. The next morning, Marge's boutique posts a sign, closed for renovations. Julie's Instagram account suddenly goes private after a barrage of comments from former friends. My cousin Alice, who hasn't called in 3 years, leaves a voicemail. I saw what happened with Lainey. I'm so sorry none of us stood up to them before. The community whispers travel like smoke under doors. At the grocery store, the bank, the gas station, sympathetic glances, small gestures of support. That poor Maddox girl who was falsely accused. The reconciliation attempts begin with military precision. Dean's carefully worded email arrives first. Phrases like family healing and moving forward together, stripped of any actual accountability. Marge's tearful voicemail follows hours later. There's been terrible misunderstandings on all sides, she sobs. We're family. We shouldn't let this come between us. Julie's text to Lainey arrives last. I slipped and got confused about what happened. Can we talk? We gathered around the kitchen table that evening, the messages displayed on our devices like evidence at a crime scene. Ben reads Patricia's response aloud. All communication must go through counsel. Lainey stares at Julie's text, her finger hovering over the delete button. They're not even sorry, are they? They're just scared. Too little, too late. I say, the words tasting of both victory and loss. The security camera blinks its red light from the back porch, silent witness to our family's new boundary line, not drawn in sand but carved in stone. On the confrontation day, the Arizona morning sun blankets the courthouse steps in harsh light as I smooth my navy blouse. Ben stands beside me, his hand steady at the small of my back. Lainey walks between us, her shoulders squared in a posture I recognize from my own hospital confrontations. Remember what Patricia said, I murmured, checking my watch. Answer only what's asked, no elaboration. Ben nods, adjusting his tie. Stick to facts, let the evidence speak. A flash of color draws my attention. Marge sweeps up the courthouse steps in a floral dress more suited to Sunday brunch, pearls gleaming at her throat. Dean follows in her wake, his lawyer clutched between them like a shield. Julie trails behind, neck brace conspicuously absent after weeks of dramatic social media posts documenting her recovery. "That's interesting," Ben whispers, noticing the same thing. Patricia Wells meets us at the entrance, her simple charcoal suit and low heels projecting quiet competence. Her silver hair catches the sunlight as she hands me a folder. Everything is organized chronologically. The judge reviewed the security footage this morning. My stomach knots as we enter the courtroom. All those years of nursing, of compartmentalizing emotion, yet nothing prepared me for seeing my daughter's name on court documents. The bailiff calls us to order, and I sit ramrod straight, feeling Dean's eyes boring into my back. During a brief recess, he corners me in the hallway, his voice low and urgent. "She's your sister, for God's sake." His eyes, so similar to mine, plead for compliance. Family protects family. "Like you protected me?" The words escape before I can stop them. Marge appears at his side, tears threatening to spill. We're talking about Julie's future, about family loyalty. "She's been diagnosed with PTSD, Dean adds, adjusting his tie. The doctor says, "Stop." I hold up my hand. We both know there's no doctor. Julie steps forward, her eyes calculating beneath the performance of contrition. "We'll pay for the phone if this just goes away." A laugh bubbles up from somewhere deep inside me. This was never about the phone. Back in the courtroom, Patricia moves with methodical precision. The security footage plays on the monitor, and I watch Julie's face drain of color as her actions replay in high definition. Thomas, our neighbor, testifies about his conversation with Dean and Marge from 7 to 8 p.m., placing them across town during the incident they claimed to witness. They could not see it as they were at different places at 8:17 p.m. Patricia displays screenshots from Marge's boutique Instagram, time-stamped posts showing her sampling candles while Julie was supposedly being assaulted. Dean's Google review of Rickerson's Steakhouse appears next, posted at 8:15 p.m. Impossible if he'd been at our house as claimed. My pulse pounds in my ears as Mackenzie and Talia take the stand, their testimony landing like physical blows. Julie said she wanted to teach Lainey a lesson. Mackenzie admits, avoiding Julie's glare, she planned to crash the party and make a scene. The judge's expression darkens as Patricia connects the timeline discrepancies, presenting medical records showing Julie sought no treatment despite claiming debilitating injuries. When Patricia establishes a pattern of Julie's previous false accusations, I watch the judge's pen move rapidly across his notepad. The court finds no evidence supporting the assault claim against Lainey Maddox. The judge announces, his voice cutting through the silence. All charges are permanently dismissed. He pauses, adjusting his glasses. Furthermore, this court finds substantial evidence of false statements provided by Dean and Marge Maddox. Criminal charges for filing false reports will be referred to the district attorney. Julie Maddox is sentenced to 80 hours of community service and mandatory alcohol education. The gavel strikes with finality. Dean and Marge Maddox are each fined $2,500 for false witness statements. Outside, Marge's composure shatters. "This is a disgrace. You manipulated that footage." Her voice carries across the courthouse lawn as onlookers pause to stare. Dean grabs her arm. "Marge, please. There's been a misunderstanding." Julie stands apart, mascara trailing down her cheeks. When our eyes meet, something shifts in her expression. "I didn't think anyone would check," she whispers, the first honest words I've heard from her in years. I walk past them, Lainey's hand in mine, Ben following close behind. We don't look back. A reporter steps forward, microphone extended toward Lainey. "Do you have any comments on today's ruling?" Lainey pauses, considering. Her voice, when it comes, holds none of the fear that haunted her these past weeks. "I just wanted the truth to matter." The weight of those words settles over me as we step into the sunlight, leaving the shadows of the courthouse behind us. 6 months later, the scent of buttermilk pancakes floats through our kitchen like a promise. Sunlight streams through the windows we finally washed last weekend, casting golden rectangles across our breakfast table. I flip another perfectly browned circle onto the growing stack and add an extra dollop of whipped cream, Lainey's childhood favorite. "Mom, you're going overboard with the cream again," Lainey says, but her smile reaches her eyes. Those same eyes that were vacant with shock just 1 month ago now sparkle as she taps away on her new phone, the case adorned with stickers from the colleges she's considering. Overboard is the only way to travel, I say, sliding the plate in front of her. Besides, we're celebrating. Ben lowers his coffee mug and raises an eyebrow. The college essay finally conquered? Not even close, Lainey groans, cutting into her stack. Who knew writing about yourself could be so impossible? Says the girl who just filled out 17 college applications in 3 weeks, Ben teases, reaching over to tousle her hair. She ducks away, but not before I catch her smile. These small moments of playfulness have returned gradually, like spring flowers after a harsh winter. Actually, I say, pouring more batter onto the griddle, Pam called yesterday. I got the promotion to director of nursing. Ben leaps up so quickly his chair nearly topples. His arms wrap around me from behind and I feel his smile against my neck. That's incredible, Cor. You deserve it more than anyone. Does this mean we get pancakes every morning? Lainey asks through a mouthful of whipped cream. I laugh, the sound still surprising me with its freedom. It means more responsibility and probably less sleep. But you'll be brilliant, Ben says, returning to his seat. Just like you've been through all of this. The this hangs in the air between has not heavy, just acknowledged. We've started calling our Sunday breakfast Truth and Pancakes after Lainey's therapist suggested creating space for honest conversation about what happened. I actually wanted to tell you both something. Lainey says, setting down her fork. Dr. Winters thinks I'm ready to write about everything for my personal essay. She says colleges value resilience. I feel my throat tighten. Are you sure that's what you want? She nods, more certainty in her eyes than I've seen in years. I'm calling it What I Learned from a Ruined Birthday. Kind of on the nose, but honest. Ben reaches across the table and squeezes her hand. That's brave, sweetheart. Not brave, she corrects. Just true. And anyway, the birthday wasn't actually ruined in the end. I think of last weekend, the rescheduled celebration we finally held in our backyard. The same string lights, the same playlist, but such different energy. Her friends arrived with homemade signs and enough cake to feed the entire neighborhood. Thomas from next door stood guard at our front gate, checking invitations with comic seriousness that made everyone laugh. The brick patio where Julie had smashed the phone now held a fire pit where the teens roasted marshmallows and told stories until midnight. Speaking of truth, Ben says, Mark says Dean tried to reach him again yesterday. I continue flipping pancakes, my shoulders no longer tensing at the mention of my father's name. And nothing. Mark didn't answer. Ben sips his coffee. Some bridges stay burned. Lainey scrolls through her phone. Grandma Marge is still posting about deep fakes and conspiracy theories, but her boutique page lost another 50 followers this week. Your choice if you want to keep tracking that, I remind her gently. She shrugs. It's actually kind of fascinating watching someone refuse to accept reality, like a case study. I think of the support group I joined 3 weeks ago, other adults navigating family estrangement. The relief in their voices when I shared our story, the nodding heads, the whispered, me too, the permission we've all given ourselves to choose peace over dysfunction. Mom, Lainey says suddenly, thank you for believing me, for fighting for me. I turn from the stove, spatula in hand, and look at my daughter nearly grown, stronger than I was at twice her age. Always, I tell her, that's the truth that matters.